My mother replaced me in the family group chat for her new boyfriend. I didn't see it coming. I thought it was just another day, another group chat message from my family. But then I opened the app, and something felt off. My notifications were all there like everything was normal. Everyone was chatting. But when I tried to send something, I couldn't. I was suddenly out of the group. I thought I made a mistake, so I checked the participant list and, there he was. Her boyfriend, instead of me. The words don't hit you the same when you're the one left out. It's not just a chat, it's our chat, the one place I've always felt like I belonged. But now, I wasn't even part of it. It felt like a punch in the gut. My own mother replaced me in the group chat for a man she's been seeing for, what, a few months? The betrayal hit harder than anything I'd ever expected. My chest got tight. I couldn't breathe. My mind was racing, trying to figure out what I'd done to deserve this. Was it just a mistake? No, I knew it wasn't. She'd chosen him. I sat there staring at the screen, looking at those stupid messages. Updates, memes, the usual. But my name wasn't there anymore. It felt like a slap. How could my mother do this? The one person I thought I could trust. I'd been there for her through everything. I loved her, and she replaced me. She replaced me. That's what it felt like. Every message felt like a reminder of how insignificant I'd become. I was an afterthought, like I didn't matter anymore. Every meme, every inside joke, every word I had shared with her was all meaningless now. I was the one left out, the one who wasn't needed anymore. And she hadn't even told me. It felt like the ground beneath me just cracked open, and I was falling into a place I didn't know existed. I kept looking at my phone, over and over. I replayed the entire thing in my head. Had I missed something? Were there signs? Was she distancing herself from me all along, and I didn't see it? I couldn't stop thinking about it. Every conversation we had, every time she said she was busy or couldn't talk, it started to feel like it wasn't just random. I thought about all the moments when I felt like she was pulling away, but I ignored them. Now, it all clicked into place. She hadn't been busy or tired. She had been choosing him. I felt so lost. I couldn't understand how she could do this to me, after everything. How could she just replace me like that? I felt so small, so unimportant, and it wasn't just about the chat, it was about everything. Our relationship, my place in her life, everything I thought we had together. It was all just gone. I should have said something, right? I should have confronted her right there, but I didn't. I couldn't. I just kept staring at the screen, trying to figure out what to do next. Do I call her? Do I ask why she did this? But what if it ruins everything? What if this is the thing that pushes us so far apart that we can never go back? I was torn. Part of me wanted to scream at her, demand an explanation. Another part of me just wanted to pretend like nothing happened, like it didn't matter, so I wouldn't have to feel the pain. But how could I ignore it? It hurt too much. She chose him. I couldn't stop hearing that in my head. I kept asking myself, why? Why would she do this? Was I not enough? Was I not the daughter she used to care about? My heart kept breaking every time I thought about it, but I didn't know what to do with the mess of emotions inside me. I thought maybe I had accidentally left the chat or something. So, I went to the group again and tried to send a message. But then, I saw it. That notification. You are no longer in this chat. My heart sank. I couldn't even breathe for a second. It didn't make sense. Why would I be removed? Why wasn't I part of it anymore? So I checked the list of people still in the chat, and that's when I saw it. His name, her boyfriend. It was like I had been erased. I stared at the screen, completely frozen. For a second, I thought it might just be a mistake, that maybe my phone was glitching or something. But I kept looking, and it was true. My mother had replaced me. I felt a coldness spread through me. How could she do that? She chose him. I was there for years, a part of that chat for as long as I could remember, but now it wasn't even mine anymore. That's when I realized that what I thought was a safe space, something I was guaranteed to be part of, was actually just an illusion. I can't explain how I felt in that moment. I don't even know how to make sense of it now. I felt humiliated. I felt discarded. All at once, my mind kept racing, bouncing between disbelief and anger. How could she do this? I've always been there for her. Every time she called me, every time she needed me, I showed up. But now, I wasn't even important enough to be in the group chat. Her new boyfriend, the new guy, took my place. I kept asking myself what had changed. How long had this been going on? How did I not notice? Was I not enough for her? It wasn't just the group chat. It was everything. I felt completely abandoned. I was replaced in the one place I thought I mattered. She'd made her choice, and it wasn't me. That realization hit harder than anything I've ever felt. Felt like I was losing my family, like I was being left behind for someone I didn't even know. What does that even mean for me? Where do I fit into her life now? It's like I'm invisible. Like nothing I've ever done or been was worth keeping around. Looking back, I can't pinpoint the exact moment things started changing. My mother and I were always close. I could talk to her about anything, my bad days, my good days, my fears. She was the one person who always seemed to get me. She was there for me when I needed her most, when everyone else was busy living their lives. We had this unspoken understanding. It felt like she was my rock, and I thought I was hers too. Thought we had this thing, this bond, that no one could break. She was the one who taught me everything about love, about loyalty, about family. She was the first one to hold me when I cried, and the one to cheer the loudest when I succeeded. But now I don't even know what's left. When did it all change? Why didn't I see it coming? We used to send each other messages just because. Little reminders of how much we cared. We used to laugh over dumb stuff. I'd send her a meme, and she'd reply with the same meme, just a different version of it, something we both found hilarious. Those small, silly moments meant everything to me. They meant she was still there, still us. When we talked, it felt like no one else mattered. She would send me texts to check in, to see how my day was going, to remind me I was loved. It was simple, but it was everything. It was the kind of bond that felt irreplaceable. I believed it would last forever. But now, I look at her, and I don't know if I ever had her like I thought I did. If I did, then how could she just let me go like that? I keep asking myself if that bond was real or if I just imagined it. In hindsight, there were little things, small moments that should have made me realize something was off, but I didn't want to see them. She started spending more time with him and less with me. Her phone calls became shorter. There were days when I tried to reach out, and she wouldn't respond. I told myself it was nothing. She was just busy, right? She had a lot going on. But deep down, I knew something was changing. She was slipping away, and I didn't know how to stop it. I convinced myself it wasn't a big deal. Maybe she just needed space. But now, after everything, I see how wrong I was. It wasn't space she needed. It was him. And I was just left behind. There were times when I wanted to ask her what was going on. I wanted to ask why I wasn't hearing from her the way I used to. I wanted to say something, anything, but I never did. I kept quiet, scared of rocking the boat, scared of ruining what we had left. But now I wonder, would it have made a difference? If I had said something, if I had been honest about how I felt, would I still be in the chat? Would we still have this thing between us? I don't know. I didn't want to make things weird, but now I wish I had spoken up. I should have noticed it sooner. But I didn't. It's like those little cracks in a relationship that you just ignore, hoping they'll go away, but instead of getting better, they widen. It started small missed calls, fewer texts, a lack of interest when I wanted to talk. I thought it was just a phase, that maybe she was just busy, or that I was imagining things. But then, I saw him. He wasn't just around now and then, he was everywhere. Suddenly, she'd always talk about him. He's so great. She'd say I'm so happy with him, and I'd nod along, pretending it didn't sting. But it did. It hurt so much. The more I heard about him, the more I realized this wasn't just some fling. This was serious, and I was being left behind. The little things started to pile up. I tried to get her attention, to have her focus on me the way she used to. But I felt like I was chasing after something that was slipping through my fingers. It wasn't just in the chat anymore. It was in the way she talked to me, in the way she'd make excuses to not spend time with me. The more I thought about it, the more I felt like I was fading from her life. And every time I tried to talk to her, there was this distance, this emptiness. She'd smile, sure, but it wasn't the same smile. It didn't reach her eyes the way it used to. I kept wondering if it was all in my head. I mean, how could she just stop caring, right? But then I'd think back to the way she'd talk about him, about how much time they spent together, how often he was the one she turned to. That's when I realized, it wasn't just me feeling distant. It was her pulling away. I was being replaced. And every time she mentioned him, it felt like another little piece of me was being erased. I felt like I was fading into the background, and she didn't even notice. The pain of that, it was crushing. I kept telling myself that maybe it was temporary, that maybe I was just being dramatic, but deep down, I knew I was losing her. It didn't hit me all at once. It wasn't this huge, sudden moment, it was gradual. The trust I had in her started to break down bit by bit. She wasn't the person I thought she was anymore. I used to tell her everything, but now, it felt like I was talking to a stranger. The love I thought was unconditional now seemed conditional on her new relationship. I kept thinking that if I could just prove to her that I still mattered, that I was still important, maybe things would go back to the way they were. But I could feel her slipping further away. The more I tried to hold on, the more she pulled back. And I didn't know how to stop it. The foundation of everything I thought we had was slowly crumbling. My mom wasn't just changing, she was replacing me with him. And the worst part, she didn't even seem to care. My need to hold on was making things worse, but I couldn't stop myself from wanting to be seen, to be needed. It wasn't just the group chat that felt wrong. It was her words. She started lying to me, little things, but enough to make me question everything. She'd tell me she was going to spend time with her boyfriend, but then it didn't add up. I'd ask her what they were doing, and she'd avoid the question, give vague answers. She'd say they were going out for dinner, but then I'd find out they spent the whole evening at his place. There were more lies, more excuses, more things that didn't add up. It was like she was trying to protect something or someone by keeping me in the dark. And I hated it. I hated that I was being treated like I couldn't handle the truth, like I wasn't worth being honest with. The lies made it clear that she didn't trust me anymore. The more I tried to get answers, the more she shut down. I didn't know who she was anymore, and it terrified me. Every little lie, every inconsistency made it harder for me to believe anything she said. And then there was the gaslighting. It started out small, but it escalated. Every time I'd bring up how I was feeling, how distant she seemed, she'd tell me I was being too sensitive or dramatic. It wasn't just that she dismissed my feelings, it was that she made me question them. She'd say things like, "You're overthinking it," or "You know I love you, right?" But I didn't feel loved. I felt invisible. But when I tried to express that, she would just turn it back on me, make me feel like I was the one doing something wrong. The more she dismissed me, the more I started to doubt myself. I began to wonder if I really was being unreasonable, if it was all in my head. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. She was changing. She wasn't the mother I knew. She was putting him before me, and now she was manipulating me into thinking that I was the problem. It left me feeling powerless and unsure of where to turn. I didn't even know how to protect myself from her anymore. Every day, the distance between us grew wider. She was no longer the person I used to talk to about everything. It was like I was constantly chasing after her attention, but no matter what I did, I couldn't seem to get it. The more I tried to reach out, the more she pulled away. Our conversations became forced, awkward even. When I talked about my day, she'd nod along, but I could tell she wasn't really listening. She was distracted thinking about him, or maybe just about how to avoid me. I could feel the space between us growing wider and wider with every passing day. It was painful to watch someone you love slip away and feel helpless to stop it. And what hurt even more was that she didn't seem to care. It was like I didn't even matter anymore. It wasn't just the group chat that made me feel replaced, it was everything. She was choosing him over me in every way. It felt like she was building a new life with him, and I wasn't part of it. I didn't belong there anymore. It was like I was being erased, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't make her see that I was still here, still hurting. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. The pain was too much. I called her. I didn't care what happened after I had to know. I had to ask. "Why did you replace me in the group chat?" I said it, just like that, without thinking about the consequences. She didn't say anything for a second. There was this silence, and I could hear her breathing, but she didn't answer. Why him? Why not me? I couldn't keep it in anymore. My chest was tight, and everything I had held back came pouring out. The hurt, the anger, the confusion. Why are you doing this to me? I had to know. She couldn't just pretend like this wasn't happening. It wasn't just a chat, it was my place, my spot in the family. And now it was his. She didn't apologize at first. Instead, she started explaining. She told me that she had been trying to figure things out with him and that she didn't mean to hurt me. But it didn't feel real. It felt like she was making excuses. "I didn't want you to feel left out," she said. But how could she think that? How could she even say that? I was already out. And then, it hit me. It wasn't just about the chat. It was about her priorities. She chose him, and that was the hardest part. "I don't want to hurt you," she said, but she already had. She just didn't realize how much. My heart shattered as she tried to explain away everything. It wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. And that choice left me feeling like nothing. That was the moment it all broke. The trust was gone. There was no coming back from it. I didn't know who she was anymore. She wasn't the mother I'd known and loved. She was someone else, someone who could push her own daughter aside for a man. I felt like I didn't matter. That was the hardest part to swallow. All these years of love, of being there for each other, and it just crumbled. I couldn't trust her. I couldn't trust anyone. How could I? She had chosen him over me, and no matter how hard she tried to explain it away, it didn't change the fact that she made the decision to replace me. I couldn't trust that love anymore. After that conversation, I was numb. I couldn't stop crying. It was like everything I knew was just gone. My whole identity felt shattered. Who was I now, if I wasn't her daughter? Was I just someone who could be cast aside for someone new? I felt angry, but I also felt like a failure. I wanted to scream, but all I could do was sit in silence, wondering how things had gone so wrong. I didn't know what to do with all the emotions swirling inside me. I was hurt, but I was also heartbroken. All I ever wanted was to feel loved, to feel needed by her. And now I was just a memory. I didn't even know where to go from here. After everything, I kept going over what happened. I kept asking myself where I went wrong. How did I miss all the signs? I wanted to go back, to change something, anything. Maybe if I had spoken up earlier, if I had done something differently, I wouldn't be here now. I couldn't stop thinking about what I lost, what I'd never get back. The connection we had was broken, and I didn't know how to fix it. I wanted her to apologize, to tell me that she hadn't meant to hurt me. But instead, I just kept feeling like I was the one left in the cold. I didn't even know how to mourn the loss of what we once had, because it felt like I was mourning the mother I thought I knew. I started realizing how deep this betrayal went. It wasn't just about the group chat, it was about everything we had built together. The emotional toll was heavier than I imagined. It wasn't just the bond with her I was losing. It was the whole dynamic of our family. This wasn't something that could just be fixed by a few words. Everything had changed. I felt like I had lost, not just my mom, but my place in this family, too. Nothing felt solid anymore. Everything was cracked, and I didn't know how to repair it. The emotional weight of knowing that I wasn't enough for her anymore, knowing that I had been replaced, was crushing. It made me question everything about myself, about our relationship. I was stuck between wanting to move forward and not knowing how. The pain of being replaced, of being left behind, was something I couldn't shake. The days after the confrontation were like a blur. I could feel the weight of everything that had happened sinking in deeper with each passing minute. I'd stare at my phone, wondering if I should reach out, but the truth was nothing would ever be the same. I couldn't escape the feeling that something fundamental had been broken between us, and no amount of texting or calling would fix it. My trust in her, in the love we shared, was shattered. It's hard to explain to someone who's never been in this kind of situation, but it feels like your heart is being pulled in two different directions. On one hand, I still wanted her in my life, wanted to rebuild everything we had. But on the other, I couldn't ignore the fact that she had replaced me, so how could I trust her again? How could I trust anyone when I had been left behind so callously? I spent a lot of time just sitting with that hurt, wondering what it meant for me, for our future. Would we ever get back to where we were? Or had I simply outgrown her, just as she seemed to have outgrown me? It wasn't just about the group chat anymore, it was everything else. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how deep the emotional scars went. I couldn't just ignore what had happened. The conversation we had changed things irreparably. I couldn't unhear her admit that her boyfriend had taken priority over me. She didn't say it that plainly, but it was there, in everything she said. It was in the way she apologized, but it didn't feel genuine, like she was apologizing only because she got caught, not because she truly understood the pain she had caused. I started to feel like I was walking through a broken version of my life. My relationship with her was different, and there was no pretending otherwise. I didn't know if I could keep pretending that everything was fine. Could I move forward from this? Could I trust her again? The truth was, I didn't know. Every time I looked at her, all I saw was the betrayal. Every time I heard her talk about him, all I felt was the distance growing. I realized that I had to come to terms with The consequences, not just of her actions, but of my own feelings. The damage had been done, and I had to decide whether it was worth trying to rebuild, or whether it was time to walk away. I tried. God knows I tried. I tried to rebuild the relationship with her, to act like things could go back to normal. We had a couple of conversations after the confrontation, awkward, strained conversations where I wasn't sure if I was being heard or if she even cared. She would apologize, but her actions didn't match her words. She'd promised that things would be better, but the truth was, nothing was ever going to be the same again. I could see it in her eyes, the distance, the way she'd talk about him. I knew he was always going to be a part of her life now, and I wasn't. It was like trying to repair a shattered glass by gluing the pieces together. Sure, they're back in place, but it's still broken. Every time I tried to talk to her, every time I tried to engage with her the way we used to, it felt forced. I couldn't be who I was before, and neither could she. I didn't know how to fix this, but I kept trying. I kept hoping that things would get better, but the more I tried, the more I realized there was a part of me that was lost. And I wasn't sure if it was something I could get back. Eventually, I had to face the truth. No matter how much I wanted to fix things, no matter how hard I tried, nothing would ever be the same again. The betrayal wasn't just something I could sweep under the rug. It wasn't something I could ignore, no matter how much I wished I could. I spent a lot of time reflecting on everything, on what had happened, on how I felt, on what I truly needed. And I realized something. Sometimes, you have to let go. You can't hold on to people who don't hold on to you. You can't keep chasing after a relationship that's already broken. It wasn't easy, and it didn't feel good, but I finally accepted that I had to let her go, at least in the way I once knew her. I had to let go of the idea of getting back what we had, because it wasn't coming back. And that was painful. Letting go of someone you love is never easy. But I had to stop waiting for her to change. I had to stop hoping for things to go back to how they were. It was time for me to move on. I had to let go of the past so I could start healing, even if that meant saying goodbye to the version of my mother I once knew. Looking back now, I realized that this experience taught me a lot about myself. At first, I thought I had lost everything. It felt like I was losing my mother, my place in my family, my sense of security. But the more I reflected on it, the more I understood that I hadn't lost everything. I had gained something: strength. I had learned that I could survive pain, that I could face betrayal and still come out on the other side. I realized that I don't need anyone's approval to feel worthy. I spent so much time trying to prove to my mother that I mattered, that I was enough, but in the end, I had to prove it to myself. I had to learn that my worth doesn't depend on anyone else's actions. And while it still hurts, I'm stronger now. I've learned to set boundaries. I've learned to take care of myself when others let me down. I've learned that it's okay to walk away from relationships that aren't healthy for me, even if that relationship is with someone I've loved my whole life. This experience didn't just break me, rebuilt me. It made me realize that I'm enough, just as I am, no matter what anyone else does. I used to think love and trust were these unconditional things, something that never wavered, something you could count on. But now I see that love is complicated. Trust isn't something that's just given. It's earned, and it can be lost. I've learned that love doesn't always stay the same, and sometimes people change. Trust can be broken, and it might never be fully repaired. And while that's a painful realization, it's also freeing. I've learned that it's okay to question someone's love if their actions don't match their words. I've learned that love should never come at the expense of your own well-being. And I've learned that trust isn't just about expecting people to be honest with you, it's about trusting yourself enough to know when to walk away when that trust is broken. I've also realized that not all relationships are meant to last forever. Sometimes people come into your life for a reason, and sometimes they leave for one too. And that's okay. Love doesn't always have to be a permanent thing. It's okay to love someone, to appreciate them for who they were to you, and then to let them go when it's time. Trust is something that needs to be mutual. And if it's not, then it's not worth holding on to. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that people change, and sometimes they change in ways that hurt you. But that doesn't mean it's your fault. Love is not about holding on to people who don't hold on to you. It's not about sacrificing your own worth to prove you're deserving of someone's affection. Love should be mutual. It should make you feel valued, not invisible. If someone can replace you in a heartbeat, it's not love, it's something else. Something fleeting, something that doesn't last. And while it's heartbreaking to realize that, it's also freeing. It gives you the permission to let go of what's no longer healthy for you. And you know what? It's okay to let go. You don't have to hold on to relationships that are breaking you. You have the right to walk away from anything that doesn't serve you, no matter how much you've invested in it. And sometimes, the hardest part is realizing that you're the one who needs to choose yourself over everything else. I know how hard it is to face betrayal, to feel like you've been replaced by someone else, but remember, you deserve to be loved for who you are, not for how convenient you are in someone else's life. If you're going through something similar, don't keep it inside. Talk about it. You're not alone. And if you're still here, listening to my story, remember to subscribe to my channel for more real stories like this. Let's keep this conversation going, because healing comes through understanding, through sharing, and through knowing that we are stronger than we realize.